Okay. So here we are. And you'll see that I've exported my environment variables, right? So my URL, just in case 80 is up. I have 2 terminals. And down here I have a little smidge of the initialization sequence to see if there's ever any connectivity issues. But I'll bring that down for the time being. And what we're going to do is go ahead and start up with DJINN-3. I've got my cherry tree template ready to go. So you'll see it's right here. I'm going to copy this, and in Discord this time, I'm going to paste it ahead of time in the general chat. So if you look in general, this is the blank template that we're going to be using. The blank template. And with that, we are now ready. Let's go ahead and do an nmap scan of all 65,535 ports. And what we're going to do is -SV, that's short for service version. It's going to be like a banner grab, right? And then we'll do simple scripts at the target IP tac open. Once we're done with our nmap scan of this machine, then we'll go ahead and proceed to getting those notes into Cherry Tree. Almost done here. I'm connected over Wi-Fi, so my connection could be a little spotty, but wow, quite the scan. Got a lot back here. You can actually bring that down a little bit. And RPC checks, all right, looking good. Looking like a good machine. Let's get this over here. Paste this as plain text. Select everything, and then we're gonna do some highlighting, right? What we want to do is essentially just identify the services, identify the versions and the protocols, and see if there's any low-hanging fruit that we might be able to tackle. What is my target? And light HTTPD, OpenSSH, SSH protocol. We have 2 HTTP protocols, and something 31337 question mark. So definitely going to netcat into that and find out. Banner grab was not able to grab anything here. You'll see a bunch of Python errors. So we're just going to drop that and do our own enumeration of it. But up here, under our to-try list for community suggestions, we're going to have 22 SSH. We're going to have 80 HTTP. And then what we're going to do is have port 5000 HTTP as well, and 31337, which we don't know what protocol that is, so some question marks there. And there we are. So can anybody tell me why I'm going to move SSH down to the bottom of the list? Why would I do something like that? Why would I do that? Maticus Maximus, glad to see a familiar face. New microphone, very good quality. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. So, thank you very much. Lots of new times chat. We got Tiberius here. Welcome, Tib. Glad to see you, buddy. Lots of new chats. Wow, did we just get raided? We might have. We might have. Well, welcome everybody, I would assume, from Tiberius's stream. And yeah. So we got 2280, 5000, and 31337, right? So, oh no, it was from Gare7. Well, Gare, thank you very much. Why would I move, guys? Why would we move 22 SSH to the bottom of the list? Wally W4 has the answer. We don't have credentials yet. If we were moving laterally across an organization, in that circumstance, we'd be good to go, right? We'd be okay. We could trust, those credentials and try and attempt to get in that way. But over 80 HTTP, this is looking like it. We don't know what 31337 is yet. I'm just gonna drop the IP address in here. So I'm gonna copy that from the Nmap scan, put that here. We have confirmation that the target OS is Ubuntu, so I'm gonna put that up here. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and think, what are some preliminary checks, bare bones basics, preliminary enumeration that we need to do when we see port 80? What are some things that we're looking for? What are some things, guys? I know you know the answers. I know you, all these first-time chats. FatHack1369 said something nice is going on. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. HTTP headers. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Page source, robots, sitemap. Okay, so let's do first things first. Discovery. We need to do discovery first. What lies past /? If we don't know what lies past /, then we're only really shooting ourselves in the foot, especially if you're an application assessor. So 80 HTTP, what we need to do is fuzzing/discovery of files and directories, at least in the web root, to get an idea of what we're working with. Then we want to check for, robots.txt, .svn entries, .ds stores, sitemap.xml. I like it. Obviously, we can look for the sitemap. That's fine. What are some other things? Page source code. Absolutely. And as we say around these parts, we'll call that manual inspection, or, quote, view the source, Luke. View the source, Luke. View the source. Can anybody else think of any other things? What about manual browser inspection? So just discovery phases, right? Discovery phases. I'm going to go ahead, since we have two HTTP ports, I'm going to just paste that for the second one as well. And 31337, super elite dude, we got to find out what that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to cache this IP, and let's go ahead and check 80. Let's check port 80 in the web browser. And here we are. So manual inspection. We have a little website here, highway home blog, about us, does nothing, contact, blog and home, none of these do anything. We're a new startup that believe in customization of everything, whether it's a text editor that you write code in or a ticketing software that you use, it should be customized according to your needs. We will be helping our customer to get the best customization possible from them. And on port, as far as manual inspection is concerned, in a new tab, on port 5000, we have HTTP as well. And this ticketing software is under development. If you find any issue, please report it to the admin, right? Customize that bling bling, am I right? You're totally right, Jester Juke. Completely correct. Completely correct. Now what we're gonna do, that we've got this up here, let's take a look at the page source. Is there anything in here that is suggestive, anything exotic? Does anything stand out? Are there any URIs, any scripts, any endpoints? Does anything fancy really happen here? And the answer is no. We have a CSS document, some HTML, no sensitive users or sensitive information is given out that we could use as a potential user sheet for lateral machines, and a copyright design. So that's fine there. Let's view the page source of port 5000. If I can deselect that, there we go. On port 5000, we have some more CSS. Ticketing software, stands out. that we have some degree of interactivity, input, functionality within the web application, right? So we also have an ID here. I'm not sure if this is going to be insecure direct object referencing. 2792, 2793, internal server error. It's still technically looking at this. We have an insecure direct object referencing finding. So I'm going to copy this. And as we find these things, I'm going to note them down, right? We do technically have an IDOR, and it is on the ID parameter. If it wants to format today, ID is equal to XXXX. This is technically a form of insecure direct object referencing. So we might be able to hit up from that vector, right? Right. Absolutely. So, wow, your cherry tree documentation is looking so cool. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you would like it, head over to the official Offensive Security Discord, and you're going to see it right here, right? You're going to see it right here, which is great. So if you'd like to use it, that's the blank version. Continuing right along, let's go ahead and copy that IP address. Let's start with 80 as we did before, and get back into our terminal, clear this out, and we're going to let's echo the URL. I've done this ahead of time, port 80/fuzz. And then I have my common, right? So what we're going to do is basically go to wfuzz here for files and directories. And I'm going to explain, don't worry. wfuzz is saying, we want color. The data input, or z-c, is going to say, the data input method is going to be file. And that location of that file separated by a comma is in OffSec list discovery web content raft large files.txt. We're going to say --HC404 because I'm not concerned with 99,999 404 pages, unless it was a third-party response for a 404. Cough, cough in your engagements. Do not ignore that. Do not ignore that. And in the URL, that's just at our environment URL. So let's do it. Let's start fuzzing that. Echo the URL down here. Guess what? It's the same command. The only difference is that we're using raft large directories. We're going to change files to directories. And bada boom, bada bing. The URL this time, you'll notice, has an extra /. That means we're exclusively looking for those directories. So let's see what shakes loose. Let's give this, a couple of minutes. I'm going to read the chat. If you have anything fun to say, go ahead and say it. This is technically one of our harder machines on PG Play. I know, it's a sleepy Friday, Jester Juke. I think people are a little bit sleepy today. A little bit sleepy. That's okay. That's okay. We're prepared in the event of such things. We're prepared in the events of such things. Absolutely, Jester Juke. Means some 200s on an index.html. Really, we've been through the first 10,000 requests. If you've been through the first 10,000 requests and all you're seeing is an index, there's a good chance that, you've found the majority. The majority of actual things is going to be the first 3,000 to 4,000 requests. That's going to be the real meat of it. Everything past that is really going to be scavenging, you know what I mean? So definitely a good idea. Absolutely. Absolutely. At the same time, we're going to cancel this. We're going to go up, acknowledge that all we got back was index.html. And what we're going to do is go down here to files. See, we got back index.html. And that, that goes alongside our research on the application. because it's not only is that, it's under construction. You see? There's nothing going on here. Customers, blog, about us. The only thing that exists here is that index.html file. So, yeah, dumpster driving is also a thing. Absolutely. Rod Cali, maybe using a different list. That is possible, but we've also got port 5000 to play with. So I'm going to come here. We have images, which is a 403. But just to say we found something, we have /images/, right? Now that's a 403, and this was a 200. I'm going to copy this format and just paste it for port 5000, and we're going to be ready to roll. Port 5000 right here, and I'm going to drop the results, and then we're going to kind of just export that URL again. We'll get to the netcat banner grab. Let's finish this out one thing at a time. So echo the URL. Here we are. I'm going to copy it, or copy the address, export the URL to equal this, but this time it's on port 5000. And similarly down here, you know, we're, how many requests if it flickers? 4,255. We're about 20,000, was that? Goodness gracious. All right, let's let it breathe. We have an entire another port to check. So we got back images and we've documented that, right? What we need to do now is the same thing. Same command for wfuzz, same command for wfuzz. Let's see what shakes loose. A good point was made to me. We do have our web technology as PHP. So we're going to highlight that there as the web technology is PHP. We have collected at least that much, and it's looking good. Question mark on 31337. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's just give this about 60 to 120 seconds, and I'll read the chat. I do want to note, I say 60 to 120 seconds. In the real world, surprise, surprise, you're going to want to go in fast. That's the nature, right? You're going to want to be lethal, and you want to get down to that enumeration and do what you got to do. In the real world, you got to ping, man. You got a latency. And because of that, these scans can often take much longer than what we have here on PG Play. You know, this is only simulated. Did we see powered by? Was that on port 5000 or 8000? I don't see powered by. I think what they're referring to is copyright, and design was by PHP LD templates. I mean, we can open that up. Seems to just be a website that is not even loading anymore. It might not even be live. But good check there. Definitely not a service version. We know that that's Apache, right? We know that that's Apache. But the application, I get what you're getting at, the service of an application, right? And the versioning of the application is really the most important part there. But we don't have any versioning information here. Hop back to the terminal. No files even found yet on port 5000 with that ticketing system. And all we have is freaking images. Wow. We're really scraping here. Again, this is a hard machine. I want to emphasize that. This is a hard machine on PG Play of our available free ones. Yeah, at least we tried. Just a guy 1 through 7. At least we tried. Amen, dude. Absolutely. Oh, you're right. The bottom here is running on port 5000. Goodness gracious. How clumsy of me. Or port 80. It should be running on port 5000. You're right. You're right. So we'll just export URL equal to this. Good catch. Thank you, team. And we'll run this again and give that 2 minutes. To our surprise, still nothing. I mean, all those indexes, those shopping carts, registration, administration, developer, recent, client, my account, business, views, all those basic words are going to be covered in the first 1,000. Like, and we're not even at 1,000 yet. Forums, management, you know, kind of stuff like that, the common stuff. Yeah. In the meantime, we've not really found a darn thing up here. So I'm just going to cancel out of this, and we're going to say that files came back as null on port 5000. Now, if we echo the IP, we have our 117.102, right? 192.168.117.102. We can netcat netverbose to the IP on 31337, and it wants a username and a password. What do you guys think here? What do you think we should do? Maybe we could try some default credentials, right? Admin. Authentication failed, right? Root. It's a shot in the dark, Brainsy. Root, question mark, authentication failed. What about root Tor? Authentication failed. Admin, let me in. Authentication failed. Administrator, admin. Anonymous. Authentication failed. Anonymous, and let me in. Nope. What about admin password? What about admin password 123456? Authentication failed. What we're doing there is I want to demonstrate is a very rudimentary brute force, right? Very rudimentary. What is something that we're missing? No, we don't want to jump to Hydra just yet. We don't want to woot. I like that. Woot. Authentication failed. What is something that we are fundamentally missing here? My feet are up on this one, right? Well, we don't have users. That's good, Wally. We don't have any enumerated users, though. User enumeration, we've collected nothing. We looked at the files. This is anything past the web surface. There's nothing there. We looked at the home page. It just says we. Nothing in the page source, nothing about a user or them. We don't really have anything there. And what do you want to do in terms of, guessing here? I'm going to give you a hint in the real world as to the type of finding this would be, right? And it would be related to anonymous FTP. Think anonymous FTP. Somebody was right earlier when they said, anonymous, question mark? Well, that's not working. What might be? Come on, I'll stop talking. I'll let you think. What's a type of user? Instead of just usernames, like admin, right? What is a type of user? Over in the chat, 4P44 says guest. Okay. Guest. And guest. And we're in. It was guest credentials. So what we're going to use here is have a finding that this permits guest credentials. Another way you could say this, my old red team would have said, this is an administrative interface exposed to the internet, right? Technically, SSH would count as an administrative interface exposed to the internet. But you know, the type of findings we have with this. So welcome to our own ticketing system. First off, bling bling. Good job, chat. Well done, chat. Well done, chat. Well done. On port 5000, was it? No way. Add authentication. So adding authentication, but that was like 2792. Ah, look at that. Remove default user guest from the ticket creation. Nice freaking catch. Love that, dude. Excellent work. Excellent work. That, I wish I had a soundboard for a bunch of sparkles, because good job. That was magic. Excellent work. So, guest credentials, though, right? That's the premise. That's what we want to take away from this, is that when we see administrative interface, you know, don't just think admin. Yo, low priv users are saying, hey, what about me? I'm a guest, you know? I'm a low priv user. So here we are. Let's clear this out. Let's connect as guest. And let's type help. So we can help and show this menu, update the ticketing software, which is pretty cool. Okay, we can open a new ticket. We can close an existing ticket, and we can exit. Let's try opening a ticket. It wants a title and a description. So, title, I don't see a description, but if we click on one of these, here's the description. Okay, so we're onto something. This is definitely 100,000% going to be a reflected value. Reflected value? Reflected value? Is this a reflected value? This has got to be a reflected value. Reflected value. Link. Reflected value confirmed. Okay, so what... It's not a reflected value in the traditional sense of a get or a post data, you know, but this is in essence, like, just think of it the same way, you know, we're putting in, it's a parameter like status or title, right? And then a value, and that value is reflected onto the page. So let's try for, you know, oops, my brain right now, open. Let's try SQL injection in both. I like that suggestion. Here we are, so that's sanitized at rest, and that is also sanitized at rest, right? So that's not going to help us. Doesn't look like SQL injection. We might be able to do some other fun stuff. We can't rule it out entirely. See the Web 200 for further details. Aside from that, what do you think? Oh, you think the mic is crisp? Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. Let's say OS command injection. Can I just type ID or ID like this? Or can I open another one and do fail intent ZZZ ID, fail intent ZZZ, and then maybe even block listed strings, something like ID? You know, something like that. Let's get creative with it. So nothing here. Does ID do anything there? It does not. It does not. What about a fail intent command injection? Block listed string command injection does not equate to 0, does not work. So it doesn't see that there's any command line landmine type stuff happening on the background, you know? None of this info is being parsed along to the command line landmine and performing system level operations. So, what do we think? What's going on? What do we think? What are some other things that we might be able to try? Information disclosure. How? I mean, can it take a protocol? Can it take a protocol? File, etc, password. Well, we'd have to do open. File, etc, password. File, etc, password. LDAP injection. I'm liking it, guys. We're going through the list. Seems not. No fun stuff happening there. SSTI, LDAP injection. Let's try the, I see file inclusion. Somebody had a good point. Look at this. We said it was an insecure direct object reference. What if this is flat file? In other words, let's copy this over to our notes for explanation purposes. You know, paste as plain text actually, especially. So what if ID equals 8345? What if 8345 from a system perspective, you know, was something like 8345.html, right? And the system was coming, you know, and pulling that 8345.html. Well, instead of pulling that, we might be able to come along and put on like dot dot slash 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 Etsy password. Now that caused an internal server error, but so does the value of 0 or -1 or an apostrophe. So none of that is really seeming to work, right? Also, we don't really have a reflected value. This is a good example. If, like, we have 8345, which would appear to be a reflected value finding, right? Any professionals out there. But the problem with that is that we don't have control over the number that's generated. That's the fundamental difference. If I was able to put in here, you know, 11111111111 and then hit the return key and this came back as 111111111, that would be a reflected value. So we don't have that, right? What about %2f? What if, you know, we need to get funky with it? Let's check for anything that could throw an error. %2f. Password. Nothing there. So unfortunately, nothing. The last finding that we left off on was SSTI, right? SSTI, that's server-side template injection. And by the way, our directories on 5000 also just turned up null. That was plenty of time, and that came up with, at least for this ping, at least for this latency, I should say in preface. Nikto seems like we're hauling, I mean, I don't think Nikto's too necessary on this right now, right? But back here, we have, we could try twig SSTI 7x7, right? So let's try for server-side template injection, 7x7. And let's check that. Check in the chat. Ignore me. Okay. 7x7. That looks sanitized as well. Whoa. Okay. Good suggestion. Excellent suggestion. So we do have server-side template injection. And that is a critical finding. That is a critical finding. Also on this, critical. SSTI, we don't know yet what it is. Let's hold the phone, because that could be twig, right? That could be twig, SSTI. What about Jinja? If we do something like, actually, let me check my SSTI reference file real quick. Okay, yeah. Looking good. Looking good. We may even use that here in a second. Fingers crossed. If we open this, and I can do 7 times apostrophe 7 apostrophe, we just need to verify times 7. Come on, I'm on a keyboard here, or a laptop. And got it in the CEH with 7+. You guys are very funny today. Very funny. So down here, 7x7, another SSTI, kaboom. Can anybody tell me? That is absolute confirmation that this is Jinja. So it didn't come back as 49. It came back due to the interpretation of apostrophe 7 apostrophe. If anyone wants to look into that extracurricular, maybe. You know, Jinja, let's just do that. Jinja SSTI. What do we get on Google? Something from Hacktricks, you know, Jinja 2 SSTI. And let's see what we got, right? Jinja injection. Testing for recovering class objects. Remote code execution. We could do a read. We could write files. And then just RCE itself. So I've already got one. SSTI-ref. And let's see if we can execute the ID command. We'll open another ticket. Paste this in. Paste this in. Head over here. Go back to the root of 5000. And we can close out the port 80. We're definitely onto something here. And open. Good job, guys. Excellent work. That was very quick. That was very surgical. Lots of suggestions back to back. And we now have code execution. So we're going to do this a little fun. Let's try a reverse shell, right? Let's try a reverse shell with bash, because why not, right? Why not? And what we're going to do is do this here. If config on ton 0, grab our IP. You guys know where this is going. Let's grab the shell, right? And bash, looking good on 9090. I'm going to copy that using the poor man's text editor here. And also copy the SSTI that we use that just executes ID for Jinja RCE. And there's that. And there's our shell. I'm going to go back to this and paste in our shell instead of ID. And I'm going to go here. I'm just going to set up a netcat listener. Actually, that's going to be in a new terminal. We'll do nc-nlvp on 9090 and blow that up. And all right, that looks good. I use a poor man's text editor for all my payloads, yes. Always, the power of a pound sign is strong, my friend. The power of the pound sign kung fu is strong. And up here, we're going to netcat back, guest, open, paste. And if we execute this, we should get a port. Or excuse me, I like word salad today. We should get if I click this, it should execute. No, what the heck? We got no shell. No shell. No shell at all. So it seems that we're having issues with that. I'm not even gonna play dice. I'm not gonna play dice on this anymore. I'm getting a shell. And what we're gonna do is clear this out. And I'm going to go to my files directory. And what we're going to do is make this payload a little two-part, right? And I'm going to copy this, and we're just going to have this in the bottom terminal for legibility. And instead of this, we're going to use wget. We're going to retrieve our shell. Step 1, we're going to retrieve and output the shell to a world writable known location. Temp devshem var temp. Then we're going to call upon Python to execute it. So let's do that. And we're going to need our IP. Let's do ifconfig on ton 0. And bada boom, bada bing. We copy that. We'll have a simple HTTP server running, but we're going to need to create it. So let's do rev shells. I'm going to use there's a PowerShell one, Perl. Let's use Python. And we'll just turn this into a Py file. Touch owned.py, chmod 755 own.py, nano own.py, and we're just gonna kind of bring this down and go back to the beginning, remove these parentheses, remove that one, and import socket, import subprocess, import OS, and then s dot, yep, there we go, we separate by the semicolons, and I think everybody understands what we're going through here. If anybody wants to take the liberty in chat to say what S1REN is doing, then by all means, go ahead. In essence, we're gonna think like a dog fetches a bone, right? You say fetch, and he goes and he gets the bone, and then he comes back to you. The bone is gonna be the payload, and then we're gonna go back to the web application and execute that payload. So we're gonna need to if config on ton0. Grab that IP again, because we needed to come back to us on 9090, because I like 9090. There's no special reason other than that I learned once upon a time that it corresponds to Zeus admin, actually, and Map thinks it's Zeus admin. But we're going to save that out, and I'm just going to launch a simple HTTP server. There we are. It gives me my IP, and it launches a Python simple HTTP server. Then we're going to bring this on up. We're going to copy the payload to wget /owned.py -output to var temp owned.py. And that is our payload. We're going to copy that. We're going to open a new ticket, paste it in, and if we're correct, when we refresh this and click the link, there it is, right? Okay, wget http 8000 own.py -output link. There it is. We got it. We can assume that it's on the target machine then. From OMG Busta says, hey S1REN, hey OMG Busta, welcome to the chat. First time chat from RGR4 launch, says curl into shell. That is also a possibility. I like the way you think, dude. 3 into 53, or I don't know how to. Are you assuming Python is on the host? For example, why not ELF? That's a good question. We could totally do ELF. We could do check for Perl, just Python is like always there. I don't think I've ever had a machine that we've streamed, maybe 1 or 2, that didn't have Python. So with that being said, let's go ahead now, but we know it works, right? That's what we were testing. We can see that Python exists with the payload, right? And it worked. Python exists because, well, we'll find out, I guess, really, wget exists, but we'll find out if Python exists here in a minute. It's the second part of the payload. Nonetheless, let's go in here and let's actually just do that. We'll say now Python, if you exist, Python execute var temp own.py, set up a netcat listener on 9090, copy it, open it, paste it, bop it, twist it, you get the idea, and pull it, bop it, twist it. There it is. So all things considered, I should be able to hit this and receive a reverse shell. Let's see. Let's see here. New chat from, yep, read that. In the nmap scan, it says Python also. Yes. So, maybe I just assumed it had Python because I saw Python over here, right? When I was doing the nmap, I might have seen Python there, and, there it is. But nonetheless, to move on beyond that, we have a shell on the machine, right? We have a shell on the machine. What's my TTY? It's not a TTY. It's not a TTY. I'm going to use my breakout command. If you would like these commands, they are available on my blogging website, sirensecurity.io. And I'm just going to export a bunch of things here and explain that in a minute. We're going to background this, and then we're going to get a stable shell and set the columns and rows, exit, and explain. So that's how quick a stable shell can be. Cough, cough. But we use Python to import a PTY, a pseudo-teletype device, because we did not have one, right? We did not have one. Next, we don't know, we do know the distro, but like to assume that I'm not always going to be able to get the distro information. So I try to make like a distro global, like you'll even see I have user local and all that for like free BDSD. Thank you, Havix, for posting the link to my Linux privilege escalation guide. Appreciate it very much. Is bin shell interactive though? Should we upgrade? Dude, we are upgraded. Watch this. I can hit Control C. I don't lose my shell. I can hit LL. Boom. We have a color prompt. The whole friggin' thing is set environment. It's basically like an SSH, secure socket handler. It is basically like a secure shell, right? So, whew, that is that is it, baby. We got shell. So let's go back to our notes here. I'm just going to do a quick takeaway, or even under here, you know, we logged in as guest, log in as guest, found SSTI, enumerated Jinja2, Jinja2 RCE. This was on Hacktrix, right? Or Hacktrix, however it's spelled. And, you know, then we retrieved a Python payload, and then we executed that Python payload with Python on var temp owned.shell or own.py to take someone else's argument. Could it have been a shell script? Yes, it could have. As long as it is code, guys, we have code execution. That is the biggest thing. Emphasis, emphasis, emphasis. We have code execution. Could we have done it with Perl? Could we have done it with the .sh? Yeah, man, yeah. But we opted for Python, and we got it. So now we move on to Privesc. We're in the root file system. Does anything stand out of the ordinary? No. This is one of those I just got to go through it kind of thing, and if I don't find anything, then we'll work together as a community. But thank you very much, Havix in the chat there, for linking. That was lots of work so far, says just a guy. Yeah, that was a lot of work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, let's check the world writables. Aha! We have our own.py. Go winky dink. Let's check temp. A net plan, VMware is expected. Dev shim, I'm checking the world writable directories right now. Nothing too much there. We can check the Etsy directory. Is there anything out of Etsy that's not root shadow? We do have root landscape, which is worthy to check out. Maybe there's something going on. Or root cups, we don't care about root cups as much. But CD landscape, there's nothing in there. Dang it. Can I touch data? Permission denied. Okay. What about the permissions on Etsy password? Can we write to Etsy password? No. CD to var mail. Let's check the mail. No mail. CD to var spool mail. Nothing there either. What about what about the web root? var www. We have our local flag. Excellent. Nice. Nice. We'll get to the Etsy password on that and users in a second. Good thinking there, Lincoln. CD to CGI bin. Was there a shell script, shell shock we could have done? Doesn't look like it. Nothing in there. HTML. We have index. Yeah, we only found what we found from fuzzing. Like I said, man, images, nothing there, nothing hidden. So let's cat Etsy password. And let's find what real system level users exist on the machine immediately, right? In fact, we're going to do that with a little bash foo. We're going to grep-ive for anything that is sh or bin, sh, pipe, bin, bash, you know, anything like that. -- color equals auto. And I think we need to get rid of the V. That's why. There we go. Copy that. We're going to bring that over to our note file. And here are our users. These are confirmed system level users. Obviously, we have root, we have Saint, Jack, and MZFR. Now, for my team, I'm on a red team. We're in an engagement. I'm bragging about how we just got RCE and all that fun stuff, right? Let me come actually back up here. Exit this and go back because we really need this. We're sharing a resource. I'm going to be like, yo, guys, I got the user Saint, I got the user Jack, and I got the user MZFR, was it? Yeah, MZFR. So those are the 3 users we got back. Those might be able to be used laterally to move across infrastructure on the organization. Let's check the chat. Code pill, SRV directory, I like what you're thinking. Check the serve. Is anything being served? Nah. What about optional? Can I add one in there? Optional. Whoa! Okay. We're going to take note of that. I'm going to copy that for a second. Boom. Definitely out of the ordinary. Custom content. So, PSAUX grep-I for root. -- color equals auto. Anything below those required system level things? Logical volume, VM tools. Cron is running, which means we may need to get pspy over here. I want pspy 64 or pspy 32. Which one would I need? File on Ben Bash. We have an elf. In fact, let's just get that out of the way. Payload backburner stuff. Ket asked this. I have like maybe a sore throat today, guys. I apologize. Etsy asterisk dash release. And let's just get all this over here. And paste that in. So if we needed to do kernel payloads, emphasis, this is ultra backburner, dude. Ultra backburner. This is backburner stuff. We don't want to brick the machine, man. This is like, I've spent days on this machine and we need it kind of a thing, you know? But with that being said, pspy, we know it would be 64 because we got that elf 64 object. Ubuntu 18.04, and then the kernel, uname-a, all. And we have our host name as well. And we're going to go ahead and put that up here as DJINN-3. DJINN-3. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And we have the kernel version as well, should we ever need to come to that. pspy 64. We're going to get that over. Let's go ahead and clear this. Let's take a look at the network. netstat-ant up. Is there anything off the loopback? We have domain, right? So that's nifty, but nothing other than domain. No MySQL that we could drop into a database for. No local running services, you know. It could be anything, really, that would only be accessible off of 127.0.0.1. Or like, excuse me, like netcat, right? To 127.0.0.1. Sometimes those services could be running as root. Good job, Rod Cali. There it is. Let's go ahead. We've got our SUIDs, we've got our GUIDs, and we also need to include these in our enumeration file. And there we go. Is Cali bare metal of VM? Refuse to answer that, man. Refuse to give out any information. And let that one jog your noggin. But continuing right along, that's a good question. We do try at Offensive Security to run them out of a virtual machine, right? We definitely do. So with that being said, let's continue right along. Let's get those down here. Ba-ba-ba-bum. SUIDs. And GUIDs. Is there anything that stands out here, guys? Anything exotic that stands out? What do we need to do? Anything? No. Snap, confine now. PKExic is there, so potentially, you know, PoonKit, last resort, but doable maybe. So I'm just gonna highlight that and highlight PKExic. You're right, it's technically there. It's technically there, absolutely. So we don't have nothing, right? We don't have nothing. We have stuff to go on. I am most interested in what was in the optional directory. Let's confirm out of home, just do that. And, you know, obviously permissions denied. But we have St. Jack and MZFR. Opt. So everything is looking good there. I want to get, these are PYC files, PyCompiled files. So what's in .web? JSON data, webapp.py. You know, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to get these moved over to my machine, and I want to sniff around and find out what's going on there. ncat and LVP on one, an output as syncer.py, if config on 0, grab that, and we're going to witch netcat. Netcat is thankfully here to here on port 1, and we're just going to toss .syncer and 3, 2, 1, pretty small file, only 661 bytes. Control C. See how I can Control C out of that and I don't lose my shell? Check out Breakout, get that TTY on my my website if you're interested in all this fun jazz here. But continuing right along, we also need the configuration, so it looks like we'll just call this configuration.py, and that should have been pyc. I'll correct that in a minute. But .configuration.pyc, and let's toss that. Oh, we didn't listen. There it is. Now we got it. Flick that across the internet and grab it. Clear this out, and let's bring this in. mv syncer.py to syncer.pyc, because that's the type of data. So we're going to move star.pyc into files and cd into files. The reason I have files is for any exfiltrated information that we might get out of the machine, right? Out of machine. Sudo-l will not work. Digidiot says sudo-l. Anybody in chat want to explain to this individual why sudo-l might not work as www data? Anybody? In the meantime, I'm going to be spying on the machine. I'm going to copy root transfers pspy64 to here. Start up a simple HTTP server, cd to a world writable, wget HTTP, at my IP on port 8000 / pspy64, because we saw that cron earlier, right? In the meantime, let's get that, terminate that port, chmod 755 on pspy64, and /run it. And let's just give that like, what? You want to give that like 5 minutes? I think 5 minutes is fair. What are we looking for with pspy, chat? While we wait, let's do a little academia. What are we waiting, as if this all isn't academia? What are we looking for, right? What are we looking for? Yeah, it's not listed in the sudoers, right? www data ain't gonna be there. Who the heck is gonna put www data in their sudoers? That's like shooting yourself in the foot, man. It's like, thanks, I need that to walk. Thank you very much. Red and yellow highlighted writing. No, what we're looking here is cron jobs. I like that. We're looking for IO operations as well. pspy is an excellent resource because it doesn't just tell us cron jobs, dude. If I were to execute something or attempt to SSH as fake user at the target IP, watch this. Boom. You get to see operations occurring at a service level, right? So how nifty of info is that? It is a super useful tool. Super useful. So we're looking for all I/O operations, system-wide. How's that for a system sniffer? If you want to spy on a machine, see if anything happens, someone SSHs in like a dev, right? Need to get that info. A choo, cuckoo, ka-choo. We had PSpy running. All that fun stuff. So let's just give this about 5 minutes, maybe review our enumeration in the meantime and see what that cron is doing, what the heck is going on. So suids, we had the pkexec. Guids, we have that cron tab. Nothing really exotic in here. Takeaway concept, I can tell you out of the gate, don't use guest credentials. Don't permit admin interfaces facing or publicly. Hold on, we're getting something. Publicly facing. And we got something. Something happened. IO operations, cool face. Yeah, that does sound kind of cool. Welcome to the Hacker Club. IO operations. We do lots of IO operations here. So, cron just did a thing, guys. Look at it. It did actually, we were onto something with this. Our configuration.pyc, syncer.pyc, it's running syncer.py, right? So we're going to, in essence, and we can't cd into that directory to see what it is, but we can decompile it. We can decompile it. So I have a Python decompiler out of my optional directory, and what we're going to do is opt pycdc on pycdc, and then what we're using a pyc decompiler is what it's short for, pyc decompiler. So we're going to decompile configurations.pyc. Boom. Plain text, dude. Plain text. And pure evil, man. Pure evil. And then what we're going to do is drop this down. And we're going to also, on our attacking machine, take apart syncer.pyc. Okay. What the heck is going on? So syncer is what's doing the execution, right? So if anything is happening, it's happening with syncer. What does it expect? Let's look at config. Any variables hard-coded? Files, glob. Okay. So anything out of Saints star.json, anything star.json is being executed, but I see something more evil. I see something more evil, more nefarious. Can anybody see where this might be going? Anything json.json out of, that's an asterisk, baby, out of a world writable directory, and that's going immediately in the takeaways. Anything temp star equals biggest mistake. Big mistake there. It's another takeaway from this machine. We have write access on temp, that's correct. Touch anything.json, bling bling.json. I like what we're thinking. We're definitely thinking the right way there. Syncer is the thing doing the running, though. So it seems that it wants a file in day, month, year format, which is great for us. So what we're going to do is, hold on. Let's say, because the syncer's running URL, else if URL and connections. So almost like an API in JSON, it's going to take a URL and a value and an output and a value. Also, I don't know what else to say. Output and a value like this. Just think of it like an API. Output, destination. Really? That's just asking for trouble. That's asking for more trouble. So, I mean, what if we could write Etsy password? What if we could write our own SSH key? In fact, dude, let's do that right now as a low priv. Let's do SSH keygen. Total defaults, right? blah, blah, or SSH keygen. Oh, I already have one. Nice. Then in that case, what we need to do is just copy /home cali.ssh id_rsa.pub to the current working directory. And here's what we're going to do. Here's the attack vector. We're going to create our own malicious JSON file because it's being executed out of temp.json. Omega Busta says, would you write a JSON exploit file in the temp to? Yes, that is it. That's what we're doing. We're just going to write a JSON file there, but we're going to use those variables that it expects, else if URL and connections. So we're going to move IDRSA no matter what. The payload is idrsa.pub. We're going to need to move that to authorized keys. And our target is going to be home saint.ssh, authorized keys for overwrite. So we have that output, right? Nice. So what we're going to do is touch when we need the date. If we want this to be correct, it's saying it is April and it's in day, month, year. So April 8th. So 08 04 2023 .config.json. And I think that is going to work. Let's nano that and have the URL, right? It accepted a URL and it accepted output, which is also great. So we'll go here and honestly, I'm going to go to machines. We'll switch users. And that is what we'll do. We'll go to let's do machines. CD to DJINN-3, CD back to our files, because we're going to need to start up a simple HTTP server. I have mine configured to chain commands and give me my IP so that I can just type HTTP there on port 8000. And then we want the authorized keys. And thank goodness they were so generous as to give us an output destination. How about /home saint.ssh authorized keys? I think that looks good, dude. Home saint.ssh authorized keys. And that's looking good to me. So let's save that out and let's get this transferred. So we're going to go to CD temp where it's being executed out of, right? And, oh, was I missing a nice catch, man? See, I'm reading the chat. I read the chat all the time. I'm glancing every few seconds. Nice catch. Yeah, we needed that comma there. So what we're going to do then is transfer that payload. Let's do in the temp wget http on 192.168 or ton 0 49.117 port 8000 / authorized. Nah, that's going to be what the payload does. So we'll get 08 04 2023.config.json and wget it. And we got it. Nice. So we'll close out of that and exit out of this because it has been moved over. It has been moved over. So now we have this here. I'm going to go to var temp and actually we need to get our simple HTTP server here up and running so that the next time the job comes through and runs syncer.py, right? It's going to run that. It's going to look outside the temp directory or inside the temp directory for anything asterisk. Imagine an asterisk there. And expecting the date format, .config.json. And then what are we going to do? We're going to have that, right? If we cat it, I mean, this is cat temp. This is a Hail Mary, man. But it's going to hopefully use that as a URL. We're serving simple HTTP, should get our authorized keys, and should output it to home saint.ssh authorized keys. And I guess just, ./pspy64. Oh, wait, I don't even have to. It did it. It did it. It did it. We got it. So not only did that work, I mean, that freaking worked. We don't have bling bling yet. So that was as a low priv user. In essence, then what I'm going to do is switch to a low priv user by opening a new prompt, because this is running as low priv. Everything is. And what we're going to do is SSH as saint at, we need that IP address, 192.168.117.102. And because Cali's idrsa.pub was overwritten over the authorized keys, I mean, that should be it, dude. Just to make sure everyone's following along, I'm going to pause here. And you guys tell me what you want me to do. You want me to hit that return key? Anybody alive? I got one yep. Yep, boom, please. I know there's a little bit of delay. Yep, boom, yes, please. Okay. Yo, look at that. Look at that. So, next thing we did is, well, let's see here. Do I want to put that in here? I mean, if you're following along, that's great. I think the takeaway concepts is what's important more than the step-by-step. Well, what did we get? Check when doing API, when checking APIs, can we output? Obviously, this should be obvious. Application programming interface. Can we, if we throw JSON data at it, can we have an output and have whatever, go to a directory? That's lethal. That's when you want to start fuzzing those API parameters, seeing what's coming back, so on and so forth, doing some discovery. So I'm seeing lots of ASMR, okay, not intentional, but, I like to try and be sweet of speech. Just a guy 1 through 7 says, YOLO, Quang Buick CP says, nice, Jester Juco, GG. Andy says, Evil Horns, and Wally W4 says, sudo -l. We have sudo. And we can add a user with sudo privileges. So I'm hype, dude. I am hype here. Let's do sudo user sbin add user offsec --uid equal to 0. Oh, you want me to add S1REN instead? Nah, we're gonna keep OffSec. We're gonna keep OffSec. This is an offensive security stream. So, do you think we got it? Do you think we got it? Let's find out. Oh no. The UID 0 is already in use. Dude, but we can add a user. This is proud # for the win. No, we didn't get it, Jester Juco. We didn't get it. Look. So these are all users, right? On the machine or services and so on and so forth. If we look at field 2, field 3, that means they're hashed, right? Shadow files, so on. Field 3, a UID of 0 exists on this machine. It's not, they're blocking our shine, Jester Juco. They're blocking our shine, man. So we need to get a little more creative than that. We have the pseudo privileges, and you bet your bottom dollar we're gonna find a way to do something, man. We're gonna find a way to do something. It's not that I can't just add myself as sudo. Let me emphasize for anybody who's new to cybersecurity here. It is not saying that I can't just add a root user. That's not what it's saying. It's not saying that. You know? In our awareness of what's going on here, we have a list of UIDs. It's the list of UIDs that prevents us. If I want to add OffSec as UID 1003, that'll work. That'll work. But that's just a plain old low priv user, and we have pseudo privileges on Saint. So what we want to do is GID 0. Enter Unix password? No. Well, we'll just call it OffSec. OffSec. Switch user to OffSec. Password OffSec. Now, I can execute dash, but I've still got a $sign. I'm not the pretty pound sign that we all know and love and want. That is bling bling, almost bling bling. That is almost bling bling, guys. That is almost the moment of realization that we have probably got this. This is almost that cash money. We almost got it, right? Almost. We're closer to our goal. Exactly. I like that, the goal. We're closer to the goal. What are we missing? We have a GID of root, groups root. We might be able to do some things as root. Think about this. Think about this for a moment. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to gargle some water. I have been non-stop speaking for like the past hour. So, all right. What are some things that there are other users on this machine, dude. There are other users here. What about if we go to home? Look, we have Jack, we got MS or MZFR, we have our user now that we created called OffSec, and we have Saint. Can I go into Saint's directory? No. Little Linux administration information, even with a UID of 0, I cannot traverse into his directory, man. That belongs to Saint, not GID 0. If I had a user ID, effective user ID 0, then everything is our. It reminds me of The Lion King, Simba, everything you see is your kingdom, right? So, we want to get that UID 0. What if we take a look at the sudoers file? That's something we would not have had access to. Let me exit this as emphasis. Let's exit to a low priv Saint. If I try to cat Etsy sudoers, does that work? Nope. But with GID of 0, we do have access to read that file. We do. We do. And if anybody sees this, I'm going to let it stand here. What stands out, guys? I am pulling a harbinger on this. I'm not moving. I'm not touching the keyboard, man. My hands are off the gun. I got my hands up in the air. You can't see it, but they're off, man. I am not touching that keyboard until I see the answer. Come on, it's there, guys. It's right there. We just gotta look around. I like what you're thinking about looking at the users. Obviously, it's a sudoers file. You know, mega duh. What's going on with the permissibility there? Boom. Shout outs to Rod Cali, my dude. Shout outs to Rod Cali. There's a hidden user. Somebody, I'd hazard, It was the admin. Removed themselves from Etsy password, removed themselves from a home directory, but they forgot to remove themselves from the sudoers file. This means that if we create a user named Jason, let's exit out of this so that we have access to Saint's sudo privileges. And this time, we're going to add Jason back into the program. Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thinking like a lazy system administrator. When I was taking, I think we have done away with that, but I've not done away with it. In offensive security, I like to believe that we're teaching people to think like the lazy system administrator. Because if you learn to think like a lazy sysadmin, you're going to find the misconfigurations. They're going to stand out as clear as day. In fact, it was in the course material when I was taking it. Think like a lazy system administrator, Mutz would say. So, sudo user sbin add user, and I want to add the user Jason. --gid equals 0. Or just, I'm braining out here. I've not had any food today. Password Jason. Doesn't really matter. No, yes, it's correct. Switch user to Jason, password Jason, ID. So same thing, GID of root. Now sudo -l, you guys are already on it. You know what's going on. Boom. When we see apt-get, or when we see anything in sudos, what resource do we want to use? Dude, by the time I'm done talking, just a guy is already on it. GTFO bins. Right? GTFO bins. If I get any internet, I gotta hold my laptop up to the Ethernet gods. Come on. To the Wi-Fi gods, excuse me, until I get Ethernet. But let's go here and check apt. Of course there is, dude. Of course there is. And user Jason may run as root apt-get. apt-get. And I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to sudo user bin apt-get update and so on and so forth, bin on dash for some style. Any Linux sysads in the chat, you know what I'm doing. Bin on dash. And well done, everybody. Well freaking done. That was not an easy machine. We ranked that as one of our harder, more difficult PG Play machines. Let's cd to the root directory. Right? There's our proof file. Then, so what I'll do is I'll clear this out. I'm going to do an ifconfig, a host name, an ID to show effective authority over the machine, and I'm going to cat the proof.txt. I'm going to hit print screen, and for our stakeholders and our clients and the formal report under the evidence section, we're going to go ahead and take a screenshot of that. All that being said, guys, let's go to offsec.com/webinars. And here's our events and webinars. We have, as always, Jason Miller, Harbinger is, oh, wow, nice. So some of my colleagues here are getting interviewed. I wonder if I get interviewed soon. Harbinger, are you going to interview me soon? Goodness gracious. So we have Mateo and Christian, both content developers here at Offensive Security. Absolutely wonderful research R&D here at Offensive Security coming out of Mateo and Christian. So if you guys are hearing this, shout outs to you guys. I know that that's going to be an amazing interview, or Ask Me Anything with Harbinger. And if you would like to listen to the old webinars that we have, or archived ones, look at this little card effect. I love that. Absolutely love that. Well, that is all these going back to the first one there, right? Gem, Got Milk. I've not been featured in one of these yet, but that's okay by me. That's okay by me. And as always, we have our courses and certifications here at Offensive Security. We have our courses and certifications. And the one we just launched, PWK, Reimagined. Hulk Operator says, "Hi, S1REN. I've been catching up on your walkthroughs on YouTube, and I gotta say they are awesome. They are helping me a ton." You know what, man? Let's pull that up. YouTube.com. We're doing this. We're going to go to YouTube. And then what we're going to do is hold up our machine to the Wi-Fi gods. Please connect. Thank you, goodness. And we're going to search for S1REN on YouTube. And if you pull this up, should pull up, what about Offensive Security? Maybe just that and whatever. Then we go to OffSec, and then you go to Playlists. Check this out, right? Machine walkthroughs. There are 39 machines. This is going to be the 40th one. If you are getting into Offensive Security and you are getting into things, by all means, please check this out. Please check this out. Look at all the machines that we've streamed as a community and all the machines that we've done. There is so much learning material there and so much to do. I myself am responsible with my colleague, who will remain unnamed, but just for their privacy. But for the R&D at the Web 200, that's all the like black box testing of applications and application security. So if you're a headhunter and you're looking for application security enthusiasts and the people that really get the job done, you're looking for the OSWA. This is one of our newer certifications here. Also, we have the SOC 200, which is just too much fun. It's a little defensive. I know, offensive security on the defensive side. That's the most valuable one. I'm not even going to explain the reasoning behind that. Best offense is a good defense, and this is, our roots are in offensive security, so we know exactly what we're doing with SOC analysis down to the letter, crossing the letter T, dotting the I's, dotting the lowercase j's, all in the SOC 200 if you want to be a SOC analyst. A lot of people here saying they love the Web 200. Thank you very much for the feedback. We love community feedback. So with that being said, I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to copy all of this. We're going to go to general chat, and this is DJINN-3. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to paste this into the general chat. Seems that it didn't want to, probably too long. But there it is, DJINN-3. And yeah, you can take a look at that, have the notes, use the template, and so on and so forth, my dudes. So I am going to swap over to ending, and I'm going to take a look at the chat. S1REN, would the box you just did now have a good possibility to be on the OSCP exam? No. None of the machines that you see in PG Play or PG Practice are on the examination. Our examination machines are of the highest levels of confidentiality, and we would never put those out to the public, or it would defeat the point of them being exam machines. So I will say, though, that we have had decommissioned demilitarized zone, DMZ. So we've had decommissioned machines from the PWK Pen 200 that are available on the, dude, just go to Proving Grounds. It's like $19.99. You have all those Windows machines, instantaneous access. a lot of retired machines from the PWK, and it's incredibly useful there. All that being said, guys, if there's no further questions, and then I'll just go ahead and end this. But thank you all very much for being here. And thank you for the stream siren. You guys are totally welcome. Thank you for being here. And I will catch you on the first Friday of next month, as always. As always, I will catch you on the first Friday of next month. And we'll do another machine. Until then, happy hacking, intruders. And good luck.